Hey there, what's going on? My name is Basir Payenda. Welcome to Project 15 of 100 Web Project series, and this video revolves around creating this responsive animated navbar from scratch using only HTML, CSS, and vanilla JavaScript. It looks decent on mobile screen as well, and notice that activated link remains active in desktop screens too, like so. And if you're looking for a navbar that has drop-down menus and is still responsive too, so I have already covered that in my probably first video of 100 Web Project series. As you can see, it has several drop-downs and is still responsive. You can find it by clicking right here or referring to the link in the description section below. With that being said, let's get started. I already have my code data opened in here, created the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files. So let's start with the HTML. Everything is going to be wrapped in this header. Then it's going to be for the logo, and then nav, and within that ul.navbar. Then there are LIs with the class of nav item. There's going to be 6 of those, and anchor tags with the class of nav link. There we go. So this is going to be for home, and this is for products. It's going to be for services, and this one for contact. Yep. And finally this one for about. And let's get rid of this one, we don't need it. So now if I run this in live server, well, this is how it is all gonna look. So I'm gonna stack them side by side, and then right here in the style.css, first initial setup here, this box sizing, set that to border box. Then for the body, set the margin to 0, and the padding, set that to 0 as well. Then it's gonna be font family, Montserrat, and Sigu UI. There we go. Then there is this anchor tags or all of those links. Get rid of that ugly text decoration, underline there. And then for the ULs, they're all gonna have a margin 0 and a padding of 0. Because if you remember, here we used UL, which right here, the navbar class. Okay, and then down below for the header, it's gonna have a height of like 60 pixels there. And then also it's gonna be displayed as flicks, justify content, to space around. There we go. And then let's also set them in the center, add a background color. There we go. And the border bottom, of which is going to be 1 pixel solid, CCC like that. Okay, so this looks pretty nice. And then for the navbar, let's display this as flex too. So there we go. And list the style type, set that to none. There it is. And for the navbar, and then we have nav link right here. So for those, I'm gonna add this padding 0.5 rem and 0.25 rem, like that, from left and right. Okay, and before that, I believe we have this nav item, so I'm gonna get that. And for the nav item, let's add a margin of 0 and 0.5 rem from left and right. There we go. So this is how it is all gonna look. Let's change the color of this nav link too. It's gonna be like 888 here. It's kind of muted black color. And then yeah, for the navbar and then nav link, when we hover over that, or when this navbar, again nav link, when it is active, it's gonna have the color of totally black, or maybe this one. So now if I hover over that, you can see the color is changed. All right, so now for the logo, I also need to add a bit of styling for the logo as well. And it's gonna have a font size 1.5 rem and also a font weight of maybe 500. Okay, so that looks better. And then for this underline right here, this one, I'm gonna style that one too. But I just noticed that I didn't add it. Okay, so we need to add that underline, and you don't want to add that right here. Rather, it's going to be added right inside this nav here. Okay, underline, because this is going to be position absolute and this one is relative, so this is going to start from right here, and that's the place where underline starts. Okay, so in style.css, get that underline, position that as absolute, and then it's gonna have a height of 5 pixels, and then a background color of like double treat there, and then it's gonna have a width of maybe like 45 pixels there, or maybe 65. There we go. So now you can see it already started to appear right there. And now here in the nav section. It's going to be right this place. So let's just position this as relative and also add a border so you can see exactly where is that right here. Okay, I'm going to call that as red. So now you can see that this nav right here, this is where it is located. So I'm going to add a line height for this. It's going to be like 60 pixels here. So now you can see it is straight up from the top and bottom. And now right here at the bottom, I can say that it's going to have from the bottom, the position is going to be 0. So now you can see that it's right at the bottom there. And then also a border radius here, 5 pixel from the top left, 5 pixel top right, 0 and 0 from bottom left and bottom right. Okay, so this is how it is all going to look. And then back into index.html, I'm going to add one of these to be active. So in this case, this home is going to be active. So let's add the class of active to that. Now you can see this is how it is all going to look. And don't worry about the width of that. We're going to actually handle this dynamically using JavaScript. Okay, so now let's get rid of this border from here. And then in the script.js, first I'm going to create all of those nav links. That's document.querySelector all. Get all of those nav link here. And then here nav links dot for each of those nav link. Make sure this one, it is the singular form of nav links right here. Okay, so then what we have is that nav link dot add event listener. And let's say on click, it's going to run this function right here. Okay, so underline link, call this function, and then e.target, and make sure to pass e right here. And then right at the top, I'm going to create this function of underline link. There we go. It's going to get that argument from there, and then it's also going to get the underline, this document.getElement by ID, underline. So if you remember from the markup, this underline, well, we added this underline, so this is exactly what we are referring to in here. Okay, so then underline dot style dot left, that's equal to template literals here, and then this element dot offset left, and add a pixel at the very end of that. Similarly duplicate it, and now it's going to be for the width, and it's going to be for width right here. There we go. And now just okay, so now if I click products, you can see that it starts to go and work nicely. But here there is a problem. If you add a little bit of transition right here, like 0.3 seconds, now that should look good. There we go, we added it successfully. Okay, so what's happening inside this underline link here? This is an ID with the class of underline, so we're gonna have to actually know exactly what would be its offset from the left. So in this case, if I'm clicking the product, okay, so initially what will be its offset from the left, what will be its width, because we can have links with different kind of width. Maybe this is, for example, let's say services and supports. Now if you save that, you will notice that if I click that, it's going to stretch itself to the width of this link here. And similarly, if I click on home, it's going to stretch itself down to fit with the width of home. Okay, so that's it. Now I'm going to just get rid of this one here. Save it, and then back into script.js. Also by clicking on products, I want to add the active class for the product link as well. So that's fairly simple. e.target.classList add the class of active here, and then similarly right at the top place here, let's say navlinks dot for each, and then here let's call this as link, and then link dot class list dot remove the class of active from there. There we go. So now if I click that, you can notice that this active link is gone from home and now is for the product, and similarly for the rest of it. Alright, so we are done up until this point. Now let's make this responsive. So I'm gonna just straighten this out a little bit like this, and then back into index.html. For the responsiveness, from what you can see in the demo, we have this burger menu. So we have to add that burger menu, and just I don't want to repeat myself. I already created this nav bar using JavaScript, but this time I'm gonna toggle showing and hiding this nav using CSS. And this is how we can do it. Right in here, create an input with a type of checkbox, add the class of nav toggler and an ID of nav toggler. There we go, just save it. We don't need name there. And then for the label, add the class of nav toggler dash label. There we go. And for nav dash toggler, there it is. Now right here I'm gonna add a font awesome link. First, just head into font awesome cdnjs.com, search for font awesome and copy this link. Then right at the top right here, just paste it down like so. And then in here I'm gonna use the font awesome icon, which is i.fs.fa-bars. And then if I just go back here, okay, let me actually maximize that. Well, that's not showing up. Yeah, because in here we first need to actually set those to be displayed as none, nav toggler, and then nav toggler dash label, display those as none there. And then let's just copy this whole thing out, go to the bottom right here, add media screen and maximum width. I'm gonna set this for a mobile screen now. Okay, so then I'm gonna paste them right here, but this time it's gonna be displayed as block, except for the nav toggler, because that's a checkbox and we are not gonna display that as block here. Okay, so now I'm gonna just decrease it like this. So there it is. Alright, so now you cannot see it perfectly. Where is that located? First, let's add this fa-2x here. And now what we're gonna do is that position this as absolute. So right here, position it as absolute. Okay, and then from the right side, it's gonna be one rem. So now you can see it's at the right side with one rem space. And then also display this as flex and align items to the center. So it's right in the center. And maybe a height of 100%. Okay, so now you can see it is right in the center. And now for this nav, you notice that in bigger screens we need this underline, but in smaller screens we don't need them. So I'm just gonna say underline and then display this as none. There we go. So now that's displayed as none. And then right at the bottom here, I'm gonna get that nav and then position this as absolute. Okay. So from the top, that's going to be like 100%. Okay, now if I just scroll down, you'll notice this is right here. Okay, so that's the problem. And then to solve that, I'm going to set the header and add this position of relative for the header. Now you can see it's exactly right where it's supposed to be. Okay, and then from the top, it is like 0. Okay, so why is that this is not right here? If I go to index.html, oh yeah, so this is not supposed to be within this nav actually. This is outside that within the header. Now you can see it's in the right place. Then back into style.css, what you can do is to get this navbar and then set a width of 100% right here and then display this as block. Okay, save it, and now you can see this is how it's all gonna look. Let me just actually push it down below right here. We displayed this as block because if you look at this in bigger screens, it's displayed as flex. So we don't want that behavior in a smaller screen. So that's it. Now this displayed as block. And then for this nav here, we're gonna add this background color, FBFD. There we go. And also add a width of 100% for this too. Alright, so that is it. And then down below right here, we're gonna have the class of navbar and then .nav-link here when you hover over that, and similarly navbar, nav-link when it's active. Okay, so it's gonna have this background color. I believe this is gonna work better. Okay, so this is it. And now for the nav right here, I'm gonna decrease this line height to something like 40 pixels there. If you look and just go all the way up until here, we set this line height of 60 pixels for the nav. Now right here we are setting its nav height to be 40 pixels, so that's just a little bit less than that. Okay, so then just copy this out from here and then right at this place you're gonna set the width to be like 100%, and similarly it's gonna be displayed as block too. Okay, displayed as block. And then just duplicate it right here. This is going to be for the nav item, and then set the margin to be 0. Okay, so that's it. And now you can see this is how it is all gonna work. Okay, maybe we need to actually make it a little bit more like kind of whitish color. So yeah, this is better than that. All right, and if you want to add a padding of lift for it, you're welcome to do that, like one rem. And now it looks a little bit better. And now time for this burger right here in index.html. Just add the class of burger for that, and then back into script.js, get that class of burger, this document.querySelector, get that burger class. I'm gonna type in here burger, and let's just cut this off from here and paste it right there. Okay, then burger.addEventListener. We're gonna say that on click, we're gonna run this function that is gonna check if burger.classList.contains the class of fa-bars. Okay, then burger.classList.replace fa-bars fontAwesome bars with fontAwesome times. Save it, duplicate it down below here for the else section. Let's just take it up a little bit like that. Okay, and in else section, let's just cut this off from here and swap its place. There it is. First, let's click that and see if it is working. Yes, it is working. So you can see when I click that, it's changed 2 times, and back again, it's gonna change between bars and times back and forth. So in style.css, now to actually make this work, I'm gonna go away up until here and add this transform, the scale 1 and 0. So that's totally gone. And then right here, somewhere at this place, let's say nav toggler, which if you remember from index.html, this was the input with a type of checkbox. There it is, nav toggler. Okay, so if that is checked, the general element sibling selector, and then followed by that this nav, we're going to transform and scale it to 1.1. Okay, so now notice when I click that, it's going to show and it's going to hide like so. And let's add a little bit of transition for this too, like 0.3 seconds. Now if I click that, this is it. This is how it is going to start. But we don't want it to start right from the center, so that's what I'm gonna do is transform, and that's actually transform origin and set it to top. There we go. Now if I click that, yeah, we did it successfully. Alright, now if I click services and then maximize this, you can see that this underline stretches up all the way from the beginning to the end. Now in order to avoid that, just in script.js, go to there, get the class of active. Or you can actually set this function here, window.onResize. I'm gonna add that active class within this function. Okay, so here get the active class, this document.querySelector again, and get that class of active. And then down below right here, we're gonna call this underline link. Okay, and pass the active class within there. So basically this function is going to run when we are resizing the window. Okay, so now you can see where is that, what happened, how do I get it back? Okay, there it is. So now if I click that and click services, and then if I stretch it up a little bit, so this is it. This is how it is all gonna look. Okay, so yeah, all right, so this is how it is all gonna look, exactly what we were looking for. Alright, so that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, share it with your friends, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.